Oh, and these letters. Oh my God, Bob, these letters, if you think like people were sarcastic and like angry and mean and the political rhetoric is too much, you should read John Adams' letters to Thomas Jefferson. It's incredible. It's almost soothing in the fact that you're like, okay, things haven't really changed that much. It's always been awful.
You've reached American History Hotline. You ask the questions, we get the answers. Leave a message.
Hey there, American History Hotliners. Bob Crawford here. Thrilled to be joining you again for another episode of American History Hotline, the show where you ask the questions. And the best way to get us a question is to record a video or a voice memo on your phone and email it to americanhistoryhotline@gmail.com. That's americanhistoryhotline@gmail.com. Okay, today's question is about the Declaration of Independence. You know, that thing that Nicolas Cage stole in National Treasure? The question comes to us from Jack in Shreveport. He says, I just read a book by David Fleming called Who's Your Founding Father? He thinks Thomas Jefferson might have stolen or maybe borrowed the Declaration of Independence. Can you have David on the show to talk about this? Well, Jack, yes, we can. David Fleming, welcome to American History Hotline.
Thanks, Bob. Glad to be here.
David, what's the full title of your book?
It is Who's Your Founding Father? One Man's Epic Quest to Uncover the First True Declaration of Independence.
Okay. So I love that this story starts with a John Adams connection.
Right.
Because I've written a book about John Quincy Adams, America's founding son, John Quincy Adams, from president to political maverick. If anybody out there is just one, they probably never heard me talk about this before. Anyway, what did Adams discover about the Declaration of Independence in 1819?
Gosh, okay, so this is really where the story and the legend of the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence, which is it's really what legitimized the whole thing was John Adams. In 1819, when he reconnected with Thomas Jefferson and they became pen pals late in life after being enemies or frenemies, John Adams had come across a reprinting in his local paper of the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence. And he wrote, there are these incredible series of letters back and forth between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, where Adams is essentially giddy because he feels like he has proof. He found receipts that prove Thomas Jefferson, who I think he always sort of didn't really like that much and kind of thought was a lightweight phony. But
the Adams men didn't like anybody. Let's just get that out there. They don't like anybody. Everybody's a phony to them because everybody pretty much is a phony and they smell it out. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, and these letters. Oh my God, Bob, these letters, if you think like people were sarcastic and like angry and mean and the political rhetoric is too much, you should read John Adams' letters to Thomas Jefferson. It's incredible. It's almost soothing in the fact that you're like, okay, things haven't really changed that much. It's always been awful. But this is John Adams in writing accusing Thomas Jefferson of plagiarizing his Declaration of Independence, an accusation that if they were younger could evoke a pistol duel to the death. So it's this incredible moment where you're like, oh my God, this thing that in North Carolina we always thought was a folktale. I think there's some truth to it that Jefferson did steal from North Carolina.
And was this the Mecklenburg Resolves? What was the name of this Mecklenburg document?
This is the Adams is talking about the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence. Which preceded the Resolves. The Resolves were the Mech Deck, as we call it, was really the sort of first time that anyone in America or the colonies had formally declared independence from the king in writing. the resolves are then this list of like, okay, now that we're independent, how will we conduct ourselves? So the resolves are sort of the resolves are like a business-like memo about, okay, here's how we're going to run our new country.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for me. So who wrote the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence?
On May 20th, 1775, and this whole thing started, I should back up, the whole thing started by me I live in North Carolina. We've been here 25 years. It's our home. We love it here. Our kids grew up here. And one day, waiting for my daughter at her elementary school, she was on the playground, so I was waiting and just sort of like biding my time. I looked over at the North Carolina state flag, and at the top of the North Carolina state flag is the date, May 20th, 1775. And I, as a writer who sort of loves weird, crazy, quirky stories, I was like, well, why would the date on North Carolina's flag be 14 months before we even declared independence as a country? And down that rabbit hole I went. Mm-hmm. And the answer is that on that date in Charlotte, in the courthouse in Charlotte, 27 men who were part of sort of like a local militia safety committee, inspired by news that had arrived about Lexington and Concord, they became the first citizens in America to formally declare independence from England. And so these men were almost to a man, they were Scots-Irish Presbyterians. So what that means is they like to fight, they like to argue, they like to drink whiskey, and they did not like anyone trying to govern them other than God. And basically that's what they wrote out in the courthouse on May 20th, which is like, we're done. We're free and independent. And if you want to fight, bring it on.
So the Declaration of Independence is known for its amazing prose and outlining human rights. Did the Mecklenburg version have that kind of sweeping language?
So there are, I think, 5 or 6 phrases that Thomas Jefferson's own biographer said can't be a coincidence. Either the Meckdeck stole from Jefferson or Jefferson stole from the Meckdeck, but somebody stole something.
But it's impossible that the Meckdeck stole from Jefferson, right?
Yes, it's
because timing wise.
Right. Exactly. But I think you are right that there are, in a lot of these phrases, we're part of the sort of collective lexicon and sort of the language of what the growing sentiment of independence. And remember, Jefferson was not asked to create some original, incredible soaring document. By the time Jefferson and the committee were asked to draw up the Declaration of Independence, we were at risk of losing the war before we had even formally declared independence. And so even Jefferson scholars say, originally the Declaration was overdue sort of like, paperwork. And Jefferson was told, to sort of synthesize, to collect to collect what we were feeling and thinking and synthesize it and give us something that we can sign quickly. And that's what he did. And he borrowed heavily from George Mason, from the Virginia, the Virginia Constitution, which was being drafted, and the philosophies of John Locke and the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence. And I say all that to be that, so if Jefferson had ever just admitted, hey, I did what you guys asked me, I sort of borrowed, I cut and pasted, but once the Declaration became famous and Jefferson realized that that was going to be his most remembered accomplishment, he then started telling people that no, this was all me. I didn't borrow from anyone. This was all me. And that's where he gets in trouble.
No footnoting at that point.
Yeah. And yeah.
No notes section at the end.
Right. Even though literally George Mason had written Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness. I mean, the exact week that Jefferson sat down to draw up the Declaration. So, I mean, it's even, and I think Jefferson is so revered up until, 20 years ago that you couldn't even argue that he may have plagiarized the Charlotte's document because no one would even tolerate someone questioning the great Thomas Jefferson.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Joy 101, and listen now. Joy 101 with Hoda Kotb is presented by CVS.
What's up, fam? It's sports journalist Ari Chambers.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Sam J.
And we're the hosts of Everyone Watches Women's Sports, a new podcast from Together.
We're breaking down the biggest headlines, the viral moments, and the stories everyone's talking about across women's sports.
From game-changing performances to culture-shifting conversations, we'll give you our takes, our debates, and a few laughs along the way.
Because everyone watches women's sports. Listen to Everyone Watches Women's Sports
on the iHeartRadio app,
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Jake Brennan, and on my podcast, Disgraceland, I tell the stories behind music's biggest names. Like how the story of the Foo Fighters isn't just about music, it's about grief, shock, and the moment everything changed. Imagine that. You're in the biggest band on the planet, as Dave Grohl was in 1994 in Nirvana. And the phone rings, and you learn that your singer, your friend, the reluctant voice of a generation, Kurt Cobain, is dead. Listen to Disgraceland on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
My first guest is Paris Hilton, Shakira, Luke, and Yerin. Have surprises?
Many surprises.
Welcome to the Sweet 305 podcast, where the group chat comes to life.
What up? You're the only person I know that loves a yellow Starburst.
It's lemonade. This is Sweet 305. Here, oversharing is encouraged. Listen to Sweet 305 with Lele Pons on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
David, you subtitled this book, One Man's Epic Quest to Uncover the First True Declaration of Independence. Tell me about that epic quest. I mean, you didn't dig anybody up, did you?
I came close. I came close because you understand this, right? It's you go down these rabbit holes, you become obsessed. And, I'm a huge fan of Sarah Vowell and Alexis Coe.
Me too.
Right. Yes.
Me too. Big time.
Yep. And I know I think you've had both of them. I know you've had Alexis on your show. And,
and she's amazing. Amazing.
And, for the longest time, I had this idea. I was collecting research, but I'm not a historian, and I didn't want to write or read a sort of another sort of dry, boring history book. And I didn't know how to do it until one day, literally, I was telling the story to an ESPN editor who I really like and respect. And he said, just do it in your normal voice. Do it like a poor man's version of Sarah Vowell, where it becomes an adventure and you take readers along with you as you're trying to figure out this crazy story. And the minute he said that, a light bulb went off, and it just took off from there. And what you understand is, with any story like this, the modern day people who are associated with it, they're almost as interesting and weird and quirky and fascinating as the people who were a part of the original story in 1775. And so that's what it is. It's basically, it's my national treasure. I guess that makes me Nick Cage, but I'm okay with that.
So when this book came out and historians got their hands on it, I mean, did you get yeah, I always knew that, or did you get how dare you? Like what were some of the responses on both sides of the question, belief and disbelief? And like I noticed historians, it's a small club, and they can be a little, well, how small clubs can be. And so were you accepted, or we like, tell me a little bit about the reaction to this.
Do you mean condescending and dismissive of anyone who doesn't
I'm
have
trying to say it nicely. That's right.
Yes, but luckily my personality, that just motivates me even more. And I did go into this. I overdid the research and the source notes and all of it, not wanting to give someone like that a quick excuse of like, oh, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? He's not
a dilettante.
Right. And I'm really happy. I mean, I think the thing I'm most proud of is I haven't gotten any of that. People can question the source notes and the research and the where this falls in history and what's accurate and what's not, but no one has questioned the story itself. So I'm really happy about that. In fact, you might be able to help me sort of solve, to me, what is one of the greatest mysteries is that people outside of North Carolina read the book, are immediately all in. Yes, this happened. This document is true. Jefferson probably plagiarized it. I'm all in. It's the people in North Carolina who are way more skeptical and way more just unwilling to sort of like change their mind or accept this. It's been bizarre.
I'm trying to remember because I've read about the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence and the Mecklenburg Resolves, and I'm trying to remember where I first came across them, because I came across it in reading. And I wasn't reading North Carolina history. I was reading another history book. I'm trying to recall where I specifically found it. But as someone who isn't like technically a historian, how did you go about, like, what was like, you were covering your bases? Like I was told by a historian, and I consider myself now a historian because I got my I went back, I got my master's, and I feel like I can say I'm a historian. I have 2 history podcasts. I don't know if that qualifies as anything, but I do feel like I understand the historical method, and I feel pretty safe to take that moniker on. But I was told by a real historian, I came at it from from the back way, but I was told by like just a real traditional historian. He's like, who's supportive of me. He said, you're going to be called a dilettante. He's like, get ready for the criticism because it is coming for you when this book comes out. He's like, it's going to happen. Because he knows the world of historians better than I do. But how did you go about your research? Like what were some of the things that you began to grab onto, and what direction did you kind of move in?
I would first say, Bob, you are a historian, right? Someone who respects history and studies it and goes to school for it. And like, I think it doesn't have to be this sort of exclusive club. And to me, that's a red flag. And part of the problem with the whole MECDEC history is that it has been sort of, we get gatekeeped and gaslit about any new, and history is a living, breathing thing. As we uncover more evidence and different proof and new perspectives, you've got to be, especially with the way that, history is not sort of linear, and you've got to be
not at all
right. And I think, I think anybody who, you got to get in there and sort of question it and do the work. And anybody who does that is a historian. And again, immediately, that is what sort of got my back up immediately when it was like, well, these historians are so dismissive of things like eyewitnesses and church records. And it's like, are you really a historian if and are your theories, it should all be up for debate. I think it's Alexis Coe, and I even mentioned her book, her George Washington book in my book. One of her great lines is, we should question it all. Question it all, especially presidents. And I mention it in my book because it's about halfway through my adventure. And it was like, it really motivated me to be like, oh, if somebody like her is saying, question it all, please. It was like, okay, that's really sort of a call to action.
Well, I love that John Adams is so much a part of this story, calling out Jefferson, because he said it to his face. Like, he literally said it to his face.
Yeah.
Like, he wrote him a letter and said it to his face. But John Quincy Adams becomes an incredible Thomas Jefferson critic. He becomes extremely critical of Jefferson. And I have some letters that I found in at the Massachusetts Historical Society, that I you do the microfilm thing, and then you take the PDF of them. That it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, in what I was doing, the work I was doing, but reading, like a lot of it, like how critical he became. Like when John Quincy Adams leaves the presidency, one of the first things he does when he's out of work is there's a letter that Jefferson wrote critical of John Quincy Adams before he died. Jefferson writes this letter. He's like very critical of John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams spends months responding to that letter and defending himself against all the charges. Like, so he becomes very, very critical of Thomas Jefferson. So my curiosity right now is to go back and look at what John Quincy Adams said about Adam. And I know John Quincy was familiar with his father's letters and writings, because another thing he wanted to do post-presidency, which he never got to, was write a biography about his father.
And don't you think, John Quincy's opinions of Jefferson had to have been fueled by listening to his dad. And that's why you've got these letters when he finally realizes that it's a gotcha moment. He's like, I've got you. I know you've been lying and taking credit for the Declaration, even though we all did it and it was heavily edited. He's like, I've got you. And it's almost like John Adams, and I think he's in his 80s at this point, he can't contain his glee. He's so excited that it's like a gotcha moment.
The thing about the Adams, John Quincy and John Adams is there's my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. And, Mr. Potter, he's like the ultimate villain in that movie. And there is a touch of Mr. Potter in John Quincy Adams and John Adams. And now I'm not talking about the greed aspect of it at all, but just the curmudgeon part of it. If you can take off the curmudgeon, separate the curmudgeon from the greedy old miser, they are such curmudgeons that that John Adams found great joy in catching in Jefferson in his whatever he did there. So what do you think? Final verdict from you: plagiarized or not?
Oh, 100%. 100%. He borrowed from it. And again, he did.
And that's okay.
Yes. It was the fact that he retroactively tried to take credit for it all. But the scene that you get, even the sort of the Declaration scholars and the Jeffersonian scholars, they create this scene of him in this on the outskirts of Philly, sitting down to write the Declaration. And he's got all these different documents laid out in front of him, and he's just sort of cutting and pasting and picking and choosing. It was just Jefferson. You talk about John Adams' sort of personality. It was just Jefferson couldn't help himself sort of stealing and taking all the credit. And that's what happened was in 1819, Virginia and the Jeffersonians, everybody sort of realized, oh, this sort of democracy experiment is going to work. It's like nobody could believe it actually was going to work. And now that it did work, everybody's rushing to take credit for it. And Jefferson and Virginia, they basically were trying to say, We thought it all up. We wrote all the documents. We did all the fighting. We should get all the credit. And that's what happened was then the representatives from North Carolina said, excuse me, we declared independence 14 months before anybody else, and we want our credit.
And they're like, North Carolina, you're a backwater, you're like the backwoods of this nation. But that's where the revolution was won.
Exactly.
The revolution was won in North Carolina, people.
Okay.
I know there's Yorktown, Virginia, but no, Kings Mountain, Guilford Courthouse.
Exactly.
Revolution's won in North Carolina.
Exactly, Bob. And this goes back to what you were saying about sort of the whole sort of historian class, right? And the sort of gatekeeping. The reaction to even the thought that the mech deck is real has always been, by the scholars, has always been, what would those farmers and backwater frontiersmen know about high ideals like independence and freedom and stuff like that? But if you do even just a day's worth of research, the men who actually thought up and drafted the mech deck, they were all Princeton grads. They were all Princeton graduates. So it's like this, there's this sort of dismissive, oh, this can't happen. But if you do the work and the research, you realize it's very different from what historians have been telling us.
Wonderful. Great work. Great work, David Fleming. I can't wait to see what you come up with next. I've been talking with David Fleming, author of the book, Who's Your Founding Father? One Man's Epic Quest to Uncover the First True Declaration of Independence. David, thank you for joining us today on American History Hotline.
My pleasure. And the next time we're in Quincy together, I will say hello, I promise.
All right. You've been listening to American History Hotline, a production of iHeart Podcasts and Scratch Track Productions. The show's executive producer is James Morrison. Our executive producers from iHeart are Jordan Runtaw and Jason English. Original music composed by me, Bob Crawford. Please keep in touch. Our email is americanhistoryhotline@gmail.com. If you like the show, please tell your friends and leave us a review in Apple Podcasts. I'm your host, Bob Crawford. Feel free to hit me up on social media to ask a history question or to let me know what you think of the show. You can find me at Bob Crawford Base. Thanks so much for listening. See you next week.
Joy is essential and it's also elusive. But now there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Joy 101, and listen now. Joy 101 with Hoda Kotb is presented by CVS.
What's up, fam? It's sports journalist Ari Chambers.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Sam J.
And we're the hosts of Everyone Watches Women's Sports, a new podcast from Together.
We're breaking down the biggest headlines, the viral moments, and the stories everyone's talking about across women's sports.
From game-changing performances to culture-shifting conversations, we'll give you our takes, our debates, and a few laughs along the way.
Because everyone watches women's sports. Listen to Everyone Watches Women's Sports
on the iHeartRadio app,
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Jake Brennan, and on the Disgraceland podcast, I explore the wild lives of rock stars and unbelievable true crime stories from music history. These are the stories you haven't heard, the kind you'll end up telling someone else. Like the time Paul McCartney spent in a notorious prison, or the bizarre crime Lady Gaga is accused of, or that time Blondie's Debbie Harry escaped Ted Bundy. Listen to Disgraceland on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
My first guest is Paris Hilton, Shakira, Luke, and Yerin. Have surprises?
Many surprises.
Welcome to the Suite 305 podcast, where the group chat comes to life.
What up? You're the only person I know that loves a yellow Starburst. It's lemonade.
This is Suite 305. Here, oversharing is encouraged. Listen to Suite 305 with Lele Pons on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.